Hello, hello, hello. Hi, hi, hi. How y'all doing today? I hope you are having a great day. Pause. Bear with me a moment, please. I am attempting to fix one thing for our Instagram friends. Right? Right. All right. It is a pleasure to be with you today. I asked you how you're doing. Nobody's responded yet, but I know you can respond in the comments. So come on in, join me. It's your girl Lenore. Um, or some of you actually know me as Pasha. If you're on Instagram and you're wondering what is that whole Pasha Lenore situation, Pasha is my nickname. According to my husband, it's my alias. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. But I stand before you today as Lenore. Well, Pasha Lenore, because I own all of me, all my parts. Um, if you can see where you are, our topic today is marriage is currency. And last week God did His own thing, and I just let it ride. And we went through what was that? Second Samuel, and the story of Saul, and how, hey, thanks, Camilla. I try to change it up every once in a while. But we went through the story of, yeah, was it Saul? Yeah, Saul, and how he was anointed king and how he messed up. But this month, our topic has been marriage, and we were dealing with just different things about marriage and ideas about marriage that we wanted to introduce to you. We, as in my husband and Michael and I, you haven't seen him, but he is here, and I am sharing some of his thoughts with you. So once in a while, what did I say that was once in a while? Carmen, tell me what I said that was once in a while. But I wanted to share just, uh, I am here all the time. Mike is only here once in a while, Carmen. Mike is the one who is once in a while. I am consistent. I'm here all the time. I'm here every week, twice a week. Every week, twice, yeah, twice a week on 2 days of the week. But Mike is the one who is, oh, I changed my hair. Well, I change the color once in a while. I do different things. Yeah, yes, if you know me, you know I change my hair. It is what I do. It makes me happy. It brings me joy. It's the little things, right? You got to do what makes you happy. So we are talking about this idea of marriage, and we realized just over the course of the last 50 years, because that's how long we've been married, that we may have different ideas about what it means to be married to other people. And our ideas came from our history, but we absolutely also believe that they're just things that God dropped in our spirit, and they are a part of our purpose. And so we started, just sharing these ideas, and this sharing is leading somewhere. Like this, I'm just telling you all these things just because it's leading to, in June of 2021, we will be launching a program for married couples, and it's called Legacy Building in Marriage. And before, it was going to be a course. And pretty much what happened is we realized courses don't allow for as much accountability as people need to actually see lasting change. And so we are actually going to do a program, share, tell your friends, like if they're looking for a different idea about marriage, if they are looking for purpose, if they want to be free in marriage. We cannot guarantee you happiness, but we can show you how to choose joy every day. Those types of things. But today we are talking about this idea that marriage is currency, right? And so you're like, wait, what? Marriage is currency? It's currency. And currency is what you give in exchange for something else, right? So you have this thing and you have a quantity of this thing, and in exchange for it, for this thing that you have, you give it to someone else and they give you someone else. And so let's be, let's stop using the, abstract and go full and talk about, let's say, I have $5 and you have, I'll go with my water bottle. This is my water bottle. And you want my water bottle and you have the $5. We will go through a currency exchange where in exchange for my $5, my $5, you will give me the water bottle, right? That's a currency exchange. And it's pretty standard. We go through these exchanges all the time. But then the thing that happens is that when we think about these things, am I back? When we think about these things, what happens is that we don't think about the other side. For example, why do you have a budget? For those of you who are watching me live, why do you have a budget? Type it in the comments real quick, that why do people need a budget? Before I answer you, because I'm going to answer you in like 2 more seconds. But the short answer and the most popular answer that they give in financial circles is that you need a budget because if you don't tell your money where to go, it goes where you don't want it to. Right? That is the most popular answer in terms of, because money, like you have it. And that's the moment where you got paid, because money is currency, and you got paid. And so you are getting a collection and you got that money in exchange for your time. That's literally why you get a paycheck. In exchange for your time and your efforts, they are giving you this money. So you engaged in an exchange to receive it. And then you're going to store it because you don't want it just doing, what? Oren is saying you have a budget, so I know what I have and I don't run out of money. That is also true. But so you're saying you have a budget to track, right? So now we're saying my reason was that you have a budget because if you don't tell your money where to go, it goes where you don't want it to. Oren's reason is that so he can track it, so he knows where, what he has, and he doesn't want to run out of money, which pretty much is almost the same thing where, like, if you're not paying attention, it's going to go places, and next thing you know, you run out of money. Right? So we're talking about, like, you have this, and the question then becomes, how does this sound like marriage? Because I'm saying marriage is currency, right? That's what the topic is. So how does this sound like marriage? I believe in marriage there are exchanges. And your marriage should be exchanges in different areas. And also that the marriage, just like everything else, should track it. So purpose. Let's go to the P word because everybody's talking about it. Purpose. Now, the idea is that purpose is to marriage what budget is to currency. Because your budget tells your money where to go. Your purpose should tell your marriage where to go. And a marriage without purpose then goes in places that you don't want it to. And you can't, what Oren talked about, track it. Because you won't know, if it's just doing all kinds of stuff. And you won't know if it's good, you won't know if it's bad. Like, it's a lot of questions. If we consider that our marriage is an exchange, somebody has something and you're exchanging it for something else. So in the place of God, you and your spouse are going to God, and in exchange for his covering and his grace and his keeping you together, you are exchanging that for worship. in between you and your spouse in exchange for comfort and companionship. You are then getting care and in some insecurity, and you're getting your needs met. Like, there are exchanges happening the entire time. And one of the reasons why you need to ensure that your marriage has purpose is that if you don't, you have these exchanges and then you will spend more. So let's tie in something else. If you've been in these marriage classes, they talk about, I can't remember which book it is, but they talk about the love tank, right? And so that there are these exchanges and you're making deposits into your spouse's love tank or love bank. And pretty much there comes a point in time where if you've been making deposits and not withdrawals, that you will always have something to pull from. But if in fact you are continuously making withdrawals, depleting your spouse, depleting, and you're never making deposits, it gets to the place where there is nothing else to give. And I think you get into those places because you weren't walking in purpose, not individual. And let's be clear, I'm not even talking about individual purpose, because I believe it is possible to walk in purpose in a singular fashion and not walk in purpose in a couple fashion. I believe purpose is a concentric circle where your individual purpose should pour towards your marital purpose, and your marital purpose should pour towards your family purpose. I believe there are 3 different levels. They should all complement each other. They should all enhance each other. But I believe it is absolutely possible to walk in one and not the other. But also absolutely believe that when done well, if you are walking in all of them concurrently, you are well on your way to leaving a lasting legacy. Right? Because legacy now then cannot just be what people say about you after you're gone, or what, let's see, what the dictionary defines it as, which is, a transfer of assets on the death of a person. Then legacy now takes on what we at Legacy Builders call a holistic approach. And so your legacy is not limited to just your money and your assets. It's not limited to verbal recitals about you. Your legacy then becomes a holistic thing. So your legacy includes mental, physical, spiritual, and relational aspects. And you're like, wait, what? All of that for legacy? But let's break it down. What are generational curses? I think those are spiritual legacies. And so if you are not intentional and walking in purpose, somehow there are exchanges that are happening your entire life and the life of those who came before you and the lives of those who will come after you. And as those exchanges happen, you are leaving a spiritual legacy. A physical legacy. Physical can actually be broken up into A and B. Physical as intangible. So like that's your money, that's your wealth, those are your assets. But physical as in, and y'all are gonna like be blown. But for example, I think a part of a physical legacy should include a health screening. Like, who in my family had this? What is our family history about this? How many of you have actually chronicled that and know that and have that prepared to leave for the people who come after you? Physical. Your physical body, but also physical components as in wealth and assets. So we did spiritual, we did physical. Let's do mental, okay? Think about your broken pieces and jagged edges. And life creates them quite frequently. So I think it's easy to figure out how people get there. So I think it's really easy to think about the things, your stuff. If you work on those and steward those things. Steward your mental state the way you did. What type of legacy would you leave to the people who come after? And then lastly, relational. Like, what type of legacy would you leave in your relationships? And I think that's the one that people it's easy to forget. But I'll use myself as an example because it's easier. I think about the relational legacy my father left me. Like, my father died prematurely. My father died at 41. Okay. I was 17 going on 18, and my dad died suddenly. Like, just, he literally wasn't sick, then he was sick, and then he was dead. That it was it. All over in 2 weeks, he was gone. But when I think about him and I think about relational legacy, to this day, this man has been dead now for 22, going on 23 years. You hear me? It's been a long time. He's been dead that long. And to this day, if I go to St. Thomas, there are still people who treat me a certain way based on the relationship they had with my father. That's a relational legacy. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with him and the caliber of man he was and all of those things. So there is more to legacy than just money. And the challenge is to make sure that when you are walking in your everyday, when you are choosing in your everyday, particularly in your marriage, that you have a purpose in mind for yourself and for your marriage. And that thing will direct you in a way that, everything else can't. Yeah, relational legacy. BT, like and again, that was my life experience. I lived under the benefit of my father's relational legacy. And what's crazy is that I don't think when my dad was alive that he was actively saying, "Oh, I want to live a way so that my kids can have," because I know he didn't anticipate dying at 41. I know that was nowhere in his plan. But what he was intentional about doing was living and being the best person he could possibly be and walking in his purpose. He was just authentically himself. And so I just want you guys to think about, like, what is your purpose and how are you walking in it? And it does not have to be something super deep. Often we make purpose seem like this, the Hope Diamond. It's this big, expensive, elusive thing that we have to do and cultivate and all this other stuff. And granted, when done well, it is a stone of immeasurable value. When achieved, it is because that's what God created you to do. So your value is tied up in your identity and the identity God placed on you as his son or his daughter. And you have a unique purpose that if you don't do it, no one else will do it the way you would do it. So yes, it is absolutely big and bold and valuable, but it's not that hard to find. And the quote I'm thinking of is one of my new books that's coming out soon. It's How to Build a Lasting Legacy. And in the chapter, as we're introducing legacy, there's this quote that says, the interesting thing about purpose is that the interesting thing about identity is that along the way you find purpose. That is to say that if you are walking in authenticity, if you know who you are and you are being the best version of yourself and showing up everywhere you go, Along the way, you will discover your purpose. It's not that hard. So and so what does all of this have to do with marriage? Because again, the topic is marriage is currency. I submit to you that all of these are the parts of marriage that are easy to lose track of. So we go into marriage and we allow our marriage to define us versus we define ourselves and then in turn define our marriage. So you got married and you became, in my case, my husband's name is Michael, his last name is Jones, and I became Michael's wife. And that identity from that I received from my marriage overshadows all that encapsulates me as Lenore. I know for a fact that that was not God's ideal. Yes, I am absolutely his wife. I am absolutely his helpmeet, but I am me first. And the best version of me that I present to the world will also be the best wife that he can have. And so number one is this idea that your identity matters and that your identity should not be dependent on whether or not you're married, or it shouldn't shift just because you're married, right? So marriage is currency, because again, let's talk about the exchanges. Like, that's an inequitable exchange, right? Because I got married and in exchange for your last name, I gave up myself. That's not an equitable exchange. So, and then as we talk about purpose, then now purpose becomes the thing, you gather all your assets and you look at them. And I said a couple of weeks ago in one of these lives that purpose then becomes filter and foundation. And I want to just tie that back in here, because and now we're saying purpose then also becomes like your budget, right? Because if your marriage is currency, your purpose tells your marriage where to go. And so and we're building here, because previously we talked about purpose being filter and foundation, and not filter in terms of, these social media streets where it fixes all the things that are broken, like people put on this filter and, all of a sudden I have long glowing eyelashes and perfect mascara, or it adjusts the ratios of my cheek to chin and all of that. Like, not that type of filter, even though to a certain extent purpose can in fact enhance the way your marriage appears. It can. It absolutely can. But we aren't focused on that. We're focused on the filter in terms of you have loose leaf tea and you poured it in the hot water of life, and your purpose for your marriage will capture the tea leaves, the things you don't want in it. And then what remains is what you need to use after the trial, the hot water. Because now your hot water is now flavored, right? So purpose acts as a filter, a catch-all. And then last but not least, it acts as a foundation, because then if you know it, you can build on it. Like, we are building towards something. So that is all I have for you today. So marriage is currency. And today I want to, just encourage those of you who are married to do a couple of things. One, track your exchanges. Just if it was your budget, track your exchanges and make sure that you are making, as much as you are able, equitable exchanges. Don't take out more than you put in. It's the simplest way to say that one. I also want you to consider your purpose for your marriage and again, this purpose is specifically for your marriage. It's not your individual purpose. Like you and your spouse should have your own. This is the purpose for your marriage. What complementary thing that God brings the two of you together to accomplish? And there is such a thing. And then use that purpose to tell your marriage where to go. Like in my husband's case, where is our marriage going? It's going to eternity. That's the first place it's going. Like we promised ourselves before we even said I do that this was the only marriage we were ever going to have, period. Because the Bible doesn't make it clear whether or not it says we will not be given in marriage in the new world. But so if I only get the one husband, he it. That's it. I'm it for him. And he's it for me. And we planned and purposed that. So that about purpose. And then last but not least, I want you to think about your legacy. And I want you to think about your physical, your spiritual, your mental/emotional, and your relational legacy. I want you to think about those things and how you can continue to create spaces where you are building towards leaving a lasting legacy. Now, if anything I have said has sparked something in you, please share the broadcast. Even if it didn't, please share the broadcast because it might spark it with someone else. So please share this broadcast. Let your friends know that I am live every Wednesday here giving tips and, just sharing great information. If you want to contact me, this is the website to go to. It is www.legacybuilders.com. There you will be able to take hold of my services. Also on that website is a thing, and I'm just going to highlight it today because of the topic. It's called a Hebrew Greek name analysis. And so I am just one of those literal people. Like I am a literalist. I love words that much. And so I believe that life and death are in the power of the tongue. But for me, that means that if life and death are in the power of the tongue, what is the thing that is said most about you? Ding, 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 your name. So I believe that get in your name were clues that God has hidden because we serve an intentional God. There's nothing that happens by mistake. So he was like, no, I need this person to be called this because I need them to say this 57 times a day. Okay. And so in this HGNA, I take all the meanings of all of your names and I ask God to show me what he was trying to say when he had them name you. So that's there on my website. You go to this website /shop. /services, and then you can take advantage of Hebrew Geek name analysis, and I believe it will give you some great pointers or expand your knowledge on what you believe it is for purpose. Stick with us in the coming months. We're going to be giving more and just sharing. At some point, I will get my husband back on to share with you guys, but I hope you have a great, absolutely great afternoon. I always tell you that my prayer for you is that your latter will be greater, and I'm not pushing it off until the next half of the year. I believe that God can step in. The Bible says he is a very present help in trouble. And so my prayer is that your latter, as in the latter half of your day, today will be much greater than the beginning. So have a great rest of your day. I will see you on Friday at noon for prayer time. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another Midday Manna. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Carvins, for joining me. And thank you, Instagram. Yay! I'm gone now. Until next time. Bye.